Welcome to MalcolmPresents.com and our show, Democracy 2.0, with Wayne Bouchard. I got the name right and I got everything right, huh? For a change.
I think you're batting 1,000 so far.
Okay. And we are heard on internet, on the streaming on internet. And basically we talk about everything. I think we talk about everything, but basically it's more about politics and what the hell is wrong with our country, which could take about the next 4 or 5 years. At least. Until I'm ready to. I don't know if you would call me revolutionary, but I want to change so many damn things about our country and our government. And I don't know how to do it.
Do you remember that Beatles song? So you say you want to start a revolution.
Oh, yeah. Well, number one, just a few things. Term limits for the Supreme Court. Term limits for our legislature, for senators and for House of Representatives. No corporate money for campaigns. The televisions and the radios cannot charge for television ads because the air is controlled by, it's owned by the government. It's owned by the country. It's not owned by the broadcasters. That's just the beginning of things. Then we'll talk about other things. That's all I want to change. You think I'll be able to do it within my lifetime?
There you go. Done.
Oh, you can do it? Wow, I knew I was friends with you for some reason. I had you on my show.
There you go. So there are a couple of things that you didn't mention that I'd like to address tonight.
Okay.
One of them is climate change. We've all been sweltering in this high heat. We got wildfires all over the place. London and Paris are experiencing record high temperatures never seen before. The ice sheets up in Greenland are melting at the rate of, what did I hear? 6 billion gallons of water a day. I mean, that's outrageous. And then the president comes on the other day and announces, they're making this big announcement. They're going to do something about climate after they lost the battle with Senator Manchin on the clean energy bill. So, the president, they have all this hoopla leading up to this announcements, but there's no declaration of a state of emergency. More talk, no action. I don't think the Democrats understand that they need to take action on certain things.
In other words, there's no there there.
There's no there there. Joe Manchin, he's a senator, Democrat from West Virginia. He has been stringing along the Democrats not all years since Biden took office. His decisions have effectively, ruined the entire legislative agenda of the Democrats. I did something, and I hope you don't mind, Malcolm. I wrote an open letter to Senator Joe Manchin, senator from West Virginia.
Go for it.
Dear Senator Manchin, I recognize that you have found the cost of freedom, greed. You've given up your oath of office to uphold the Constitution, and you traded it in for the highest political contributions from the fossil fuel industry of any senator, Democrat or Republican. You have sacrificed your grandchildren's future and the next generations for a big pile of "in God we trust" US dollars. Can all that money and greed buy back your soul? will you be able to make that swap before they close the lid on your life? Good luck.
Are you going to mail that to him?
I should, shouldn't I?
No, definitely. You should mail that to him and mail that to the New York Times or email.
You know, I never get anything published in the New York Times. I try.
Well, that's because you decided that you're not going to get anything published and you don't send them anything.
Oh, no, I sent them something this week. I can't remember what it was. It wasn't that.
Okay, you got to continue. But a question, can senators like that, can they recuse themselves from
Well, they should.
voting on the issues? Because he is support number one. Again, as you say, his the main campaign funding is from the fuel industry. Number two, he also, I think, owns a mine stock or coal company.
Yes. Tremendous amount of stock in the
is in the corporation that he makes $480,000 a year. Now, how can he vote on energy issues with a clear conscience?
I don't know.
How do they?
How does he look his grandchildren in the eye? How
Well,
does he sleep at night?
He probably believes he's doing the right thing.
Well, he's going to pass along a great deal of cash, stocks, and other securities onto his family. However, you know, what are they going to spend it on if the planet's going to hell in a paper basket?
Yeah, not necessarily promoting one of my other shows, but I just did a show called the Many Shades of Green, which you're familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a guest on that show, climate scientist Stacey Morgan,
Mm-hmm.
and we were talking about this issue. We're talking about the I think the temperature has gone up 1.1, and if it goes up 1.5, we're doomed. And we're talking about it's the hottest it's ever been in London. I think it was like 104 degrees yesterday.
And the hottest it's ever been in Paris.
Yeah.
And those people don't have air conditioning.
Yeah.
Like we do.
Well, the infrastructure there is not, geared towards that. They never had that before.
They don't have the electrical capacity.
Yeah.
I wonder when our grid is going to crash. So, we have, the Congress has done nothing. The president's entire political agenda is hung up because of inaction in the Senate. And, what are we going to do? What can the president do? He can issue some executive orders. He could commission a council of business leaders or scientists to propose solutions, but he's already done all that stuff.
Yeah, I think, again, I don't know technically what he could do, but the problem is Biden has a mind of negotiations, that he could correct things by getting people to cooperate. He is living the government of 1970, 1980, 1990.
Right. Everett Dirksen.
Right. He's not living in the government of 2022, where there's almost like Trump's wall between the Republicans and the Democrats. They vote in blocks.
You know what I would like to see him do, Malcolm? I would like to see him go out, get in his car, drive up to Capitol Hill, and gather all these people in a couple of conference rooms and say, listen, we're going to hammer out a solution. We're going to make a deal, and we're going to do whatever it takes, and we're just going to get it done. Invite a camera crew from one of the networks and just televise it.
Yeah.
Televise the highlights of it and show people that, nothing can get done, because here's the president of the United States. He went up to Capitol Hill. He said, let's make a deal. We'll do whatever it takes to get something done. And, we can't get it done. The rest of the world's looking at us like, we're blocking, we're an impediment to any type of overall climate change directive because, we can't get anything done.
Well,
People are looking at the United States as a nation in decline. And it's a hard argument to counter, when you can't pass any legislation. All we can do around here is talk, talk, talk.
Well, there's a great piece of a show, parts of a show from a show called Newsroom, and all you have to do is go over to the Newsroom, to our YouTube for Newsroom, and I think it's Jeff Daniels talks about why we aren't the greatest country anymore, and it's written by Aaron Sorkin.
Yes.
And
yes,
they go over.
I remember.
I wish we had the capacity right now because I'd love to play it. Why we're not the best country in the world. And he talks about the standings of the U.S., how we're down in education, how we're down in healthcare, health coverage. We're not the greatest country in the world anymore. And make America great again. MAGA is not cannot. Well, number one, I don't want to make America. I want to make the world great again. Literally, I'm an internationalist. I'm trying to get a network together of green shows, and right now we're going to start something called We the World. That's an organization, but I want to start doing another show. But right now we have like 6-7 people that are going to actually do volunteers, young folks, but they're from all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
China, they're from Nigeria, they're from
fantastic.
And basically we meet once a week right now on Zoom, and I see all of them. And then of course a lot of them are young enough to be my grandkids, but we're all working together.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to work something like that, because otherwise we're gonna all die from around the world.
I've been reading some interesting stuff about growth.
About what?
About growth.
Growth?
Growth, the idea of increasing the gross domestic product, the GDP. Growth is the idol of our present economic system. Our present economic system of capitalism. All politicians are in favor of growth. No one speaks out against growth. No one is advocating, a steady state economy or a leveling off of our economy. But we have to ask ourselves a fundamental question. Does growth ever become uneconomic? Is it costing us money? Is it a false assumption to say that growth keeps increasing the standard of living in our world? We measure growth by the GDP. It goes up. We're supposed to have an improved standard of living, but it doesn't take into effect, all the downsides. What about all the chemical pollution? All the people who die from chemical pollution or get sick? What about all the deaths and injuries caused by automobile accidents because we got people going all over the place? What about the excessive costs of fighting wildfires, chemical pollution? We don't take any of this stuff into consideration.
Yeah, but the sad truth is, they talk about growth. It's corporate growth they talk about, and what you have is the top 1%.
Right.
Getting more and more billions of dollars,
right,
and the layers underneath are suffering. Even in the inflation now, the billionaires are making more billions of dollars. It's not costing them. It's the poor people or the middle class people that are paying for all this. All the corporations are making money, and they make money, and their CEOs are making more money. Are making them millions of dollars a year. In fact, even if they don't make money, the CEOs are making millions.
Hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions. And, people, I'll speak for myself. I don't know about you. You might be making millions for all I know. But for me, gas is, $6 a gallon.
I can assure you, Malcolm, that I am not making millions.
Okay, hundreds of thousands of dollars. We'll leave it.
Well, I'm not even making hundreds of thousands.
I think it's over $450,000 is still considered, high income.
I'm not considered high income. You know, we have to, you know, let's, you know, what all I'm suggesting is we look at things from a different point of view. You know, maybe we have to fundamentally change our whole outlook on things.
Well, I think we do.
You know, isn't the earth in a steady state? You know, it doesn't produce any new raw materials. You know, we don't export anything to outer space. You know, so Earth is kind of in a steady state. So, you know, maybe we've got an education problem. You know, we need to educate people about, you know, what this continuous obsession with growth is doing to our, not only doing to our people, but also doing to our environment.
To the environment, definitely. The only growth that I see from most of the people is if you look at someone that's when they were 20 years old and see them when they're 40 years old, the waist gets a lot of growth, you know, like from a 32 to a 40.
Yeah, well,
that's the growth I see.
You know, one of the other problems that I see in growth, and you touched on this a little bit, you know, our obsession with growth is that, you know, that during the post-industrial capitalist, you know, economy that we have, you know, we think of it as being very, very innovative, dynamic, and, you know, very productive in all aspects. And it produces an enormous amount of wealth, but it produces an enormous amount of wealth in this top 1%. And what do we have? What do we have developing in this country? We have a very, very unequal system, you know, that benefits the top 1%. And what are we going to do about it? You know, the government is not moving to do anything about it.
Yeah. Well, the problem is when we talk about growth, we're talking about economic growth. We're not talking about growth as people, as growth in knowledge, growth as problem solving. Growth is, you know, as an individual, is you know, growth with for peace on earth type of thing. We're considered economic growth, and that's not necessarily growth. That's one form of it, and but it's not the most important thing in the world.
But our whole economic system is based on that.
Right. But so it's off, and
you know,
the world is screwed.
You touched on this a little bit. You know, what about our disadvantaged kids? You know, are they getting the kind of education that they need to survive in this world? Do they have the necessary health care? Do they even have the necessary nutrition that they need to get through the day? And the answers are no. You know, so, you know, somewhere in our system, we need some fundamental changes.
Oh, definitely. Well, that's why I like, you know, the Build
Your
Back
revolution.
Why I'm not totally against Biden. The Build Back Better, I think, was a start. But again,
Manchin didn't get anywhere. Didn't get anywhere. Why? Because of Joe Manchin.
Two Democratic senators.
Yeah.
I mean, basically,
so, you know, this whole Supreme Court decision that came down many, many years ago, you know, Citizens United, which allows corporations to donate to political campaigns, has to be overturned. Has to be. You cannot have business interfering in politics. Whoops.
Well, as I say, you got to go to you go over to YouTube, and there's a George Carlin. I think it's 2-3 minutes, and he goes in a tirade about big business controlling everything. It's not the president. It's not the politicians. It's big business, and they have us by the balls, and our politicians, and they dictate everything. And you think that you're free? We don't have freedom. Listen to that. He is brilliant. And I keep on saying it with the shows. It's George Carlin on YouTube.
Okay, I'll look for it.
And he laces his thing with expletives, but they fit right in. It's not, or they say dirty language, which he has also the 7 words that you can't say. But
yeah, I'll tell
he
you a
uses
story.
language, the colorful language, and it makes its point. You understand what he's saying, and it's for emphasis. It's brilliant. But you are right.
Our politicians need to be elected
By the people.
by the people.
Versus
And
30-second
they
sound bites.
They needed to be elected to lead, for leadership, not talk. They need to compromise. They don't need to be blaming one another for all the problems. Just to second one of your earlier comments, we need term limits and ethics mandates. Ethics mandates, so that they can't be investing in these companies with insider trading knowledge and making a fortune.
I think ethics was a word that was abolished by the Supreme Court a few years ago.
Along with Citizens United?
Yeah. I mean, it's like how Clarence Thomas could not recuse himself against Roe versus Wade when you know how his wife stands. And of course, she has nothing to do with it. He doesn't speak to her. It was funny. The only thing that he wanted to do away possibly with, conception for not interracial, gay marriage. The only thing he didn't do is interracial marriage. Right. He didn't mention. I wonder why. Or maybe that's what he really wants.
Malcolm, you're a great straight man, because his wife,
Ginny,
is also very much involved in this whole Trump thing with,
right.
And tonight we have that, the last scheduled hearing of the January 6th committee.
Yeah, I can picture Trump sitting in his TV, rubbing his hands together, watching what's happening and delighting in it.
I'm not so sure he's delighting in it.
I can't see how anyone who saw that rally, before the march on the Capitol, can't say that was inciting a riot. I mean, I saw it when I was watching it.
Yeah.
The words that he's saying: fight, don't let them do this.
Right.
What are they supposed to do?
Do you know that last week he called I think the head of the Republican Party, or the Speaker of the House of the Republican Party in the state of Wisconsin, trying to get them to overturn their election. Last week, he's still trying.
Of course, I don't know whether he's delusional or if he believes it, he's delusional, or he's just, trying to keep power. Who said? I don't know if you ever watched Bill Maher.
I haven't lately, but I have watched them. Yes,
he's on vacation, but for the last year, he said that, or 2 years ago, he said Trump is not going to give up the seat voluntarily. They're going to have to drag him out of office. Yeah. And basically that's what we're doing, dragging him out of office because he hasn't given up the presidency.
Well, I think the what is it? The Attorney General? No, it's the prosecutor from Fulton County in Georgia is really putting together a pretty dynamic case for election tampering with the elections.
Well, all over in New York, it's the Attorney General who's doing the civil action about
that's against Trump's businesses.
Yeah, but it's a guy, he's the head man of the business, so he's doing things illegally.
Mm-hmm.
I think
and then the Republican Party censured that election official from Arizona who testified.
Well, I think basically a lot of the Republican, or what I'm hearing, a lot of the Republicans are closet anti-Trump. They don't want him running again. Actually, I might want him running again because that might, be a big boost for the Democrats. But I don't know. I wanted him running. I thought that, he would lose his election.
I'll tell you what, if the elections were held today, there's no way in hell the Democrats would gain anything. So tonight, what are we watching for tonight? What do you want to see tonight?
Tonight, I want to see a little baby Trump sitting in front of the TV with his hands, with a delightful look on his face, his hands rubbing together, going, yeah, 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 cheering the crowd on. Break that door, break that door.
Yeah, I read earlier today that that the committee is going to track this, and they've come up with this 187 minutes that he did nothing, failed to talk to the mob, failed to talk to the rioters, didn't communicate with anybody about anything. So they're going to track it minute by minute in the White House.
I would like to see them do like a 60-minute type of thing. You have a clock on the bottom.
Yeah, click, 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 click.
Yeah, and you have Trump on one screen and what's happening in Washington on the other screen, and do it minute by minute, no matter for the 180 minutes, for an hour and a half, almost with no dialogue.
Yeah, I think also the committee is going to argue that Trump welcomed the violence. He relished seeing the violence, and they'll have aides that will Trump aides, diehard Republicans that'll testify to that.
I think there's one congressman who they show like the day before him giving a tour to the to the rioters.
Oh, that was somebody in the Capitol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giving a tour and then making notes of where things were.
Yes, they were taking pictures.
Yeah.
It was a local congresswoman from New Jersey who blew the whistle on that.
Yeah. So somehow I have a feeling that if we do survive, like in 10, 15 years from now, and our kids see the movie, they'll say, no, this couldn't have happened. It's too unreal. I don't believe it.
So what do you think tonight? Any surprises? I think they might have a surprise up their sleeve for tonight.
I don't know. I think it's just sort of like putting the different nails in the casket, one by one, closing the door, I don't know. This whole thing surprises me again. For the last 6 years or so, everything in politics surprises me.
Well, these hearings have been very entertaining. Never a dull moment.
But again, the people who are diehard Trump fans, think it's all force. I have friends. I do my shows, and I have both sides of the issue sometimes on, and I have people that say, no, it's a mainstream, TV mainstream is against Trump. You got to go to the off stations, and they believe whatever Fox says. They believe Hannity and Carlson and Ingram, and I'm going, you gotta be kidding. I respect you otherwise as thinkers, but how could you believe this bull?
Well, when they're at the point where there is no freedom left, then they will have to, it'll be too late for them to change. What Steve Bannon says, is that we will rule for the next 100 years. That's a scary statement.
Well, the scarier thing is if they do rule for the next 100 years, we're not going to be around for 100 years. I mean, I'm looking at the international newspapers and the international reports, and around the world, the fires are just spontaneous combustion. You look at Europe, France, England, Spain, Portugal, over here in California, in Texas. The forests are just spontaneous combustion because it's so damn hot with no water. You don't need a spark almost. The fires are just going up. It reminds me of when you see some of the old movies and they talk about the nuclear destruction, and you see the planes going around the big cities and you see the fires going up. It's like looking at Ukraine now with their cities, everything bombed out. That's going to be the way major cities look here. And
I referred earlier to a Beatles song, and I don't remember who sang this song, but it was years ago. We're on the eve of destruction.
We're on the eve of destruction. I
think it was a one-time hit for that guy.
Well, I remember when I was in high school, it was they used to have these bumper stickers. One nuclear bomb can ruin your day.
Yeah.
But this is basically what we're doing. We're playing with a nuclear bomb.
Well, we're playing with something that we don't understand.
And again, we just have to go up like another 0.4 of a degree or something like that, and bang. The world is unsustainable. The animals will be here. We're not going to destroy the animals. It's going to be man. I mean, I think, I don't know if I mentioned it on this show, but when I lived in New York, each summer there used to be a retrospective of the survival of the roaches, cockroaches.
Mm-hmm.
And roaches existed in prehistoric time, during the dinosaur. It exists in subtropic weather, and it exists in Arctic weather, because they keep on reproducing so damn fast.
That's a terrible way to end the show tonight.
Yeah, but it's realistic. If you want to, I'll give you an extra minute to say something more positive.
I'm not sure I can come up with anything positive. I think that I would like to see some action. I would like to see our president and our legislative leaders show some leadership and define some type of a solution to work towards.
Yeah. Oh, but by the way, just to add a thought, we didn't even mention that Biden has COVID.
Right.
And we did this whole show. But
right.
I don't know if it's a positive or not positive, but my last thought for the day is go forth and procreate. The more kids we have, the more of a chance we have of survival.
I don't think that's necessarily true at this point.
Well, but you think positive, at least it'll be fun trying.
All right.
We'll speak about what happens and what happened tonight, next week, or what happens that week. In the meantime, go out and have fun.
Keep smiling, Malcolm. Keep smiling.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
By the way, you've been listening to MalcolmPresents.com on MalcolmPresents.com. For any questions, if you have, or have any comments for myself or for Wayne, contact us at malcolmpresents@gmail.com. That's my commercial. Speak to you later. Bye.